Good afternoon and welcome to GoLocal Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It is Monday, February 12th. We are kicking things off here at 3 o'clock. I'm Molly O'Brien. Thank you so much for joining us. So today we're talking about a whole host of things, starting off with some interior design, then we're moving to some technology, and then we're talking about teen dating, violence, awareness, and prevention. So again, talking the gamut of things here on GoLocal Live. So I'd like to say hello and welcome to our friend Robin Garso of Robin Garso Interiors as we kick things off in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. So Robin is fresh off her trip from Paris. So we're welcoming you back to America, welcoming you back stateside. I've been very excited to have you come and talk about what you saw in Paris, and then of course you were working, you're having fun, but you were working as well. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you saw, about colors, designs, trends. So that's where we're going to start today. So first of all, talk to us just a little bit about your trip, what you were doing there and what you experienced.
In January in Paris, it is one of the places to be in interior design. Architects, artists, interior designers, everyone, even fashion. It was coinciding with Fashion Week. Everyone that's going there is involved in design and fashion, and they just put out the red carpet for all of us. It was really, truly wonderful. I was there for work. I went to major interior design shows while I was there, and they're different. And each one we went to was a little bit different, so it was nice to see what they were each showing. We also, because we're in the fashion industry, and clothing really does intersect with home fashions, we made sure that we also reached out and saw the most prominent, more upscale fashion designs as well. So we went and we did all of that. We went to some great parties and met other designers and just enjoyed Paris and the art and the architecture and all of the cultural things that you would normally do in Paris. So that was really, really just a wonderful thing.
I'm so glad you got to sneak in a little bit of fun.
It did,
as well. But what you do for a living is so fun and enjoyable as well. From the outside, I know you work very hard as well. So let's talk a little bit about what you learned, because you were going to these shows, you were on the cutting edge of design, what's coming up for 2018. So talk to us a little bit about what you saw at these shows, what you learned, what is going to be happening, what we're going to see for 2018.
I've been talking about this a little bit all along over the last 6 months. You know, paint colors of the year and things like that. And it's starting to move away from your neutrals, your grays, your beiges, white on whites, and all of that. And I have been saying that for a while now. But when I was in Paris, it was everywhere. Color was everywhere. So it was the emeralds and the deep blues and the reds and the plums and purples and yellows. With fashion and clothing and home fashion, it was strong, vibrant colors. Now, granted, they still kind of integrated a little bit of the pale pinks and soft hues, but for the most part, I'd say 95% of everything I saw was color. Deep, rich tones everywhere. Every showroom, upscale, lower, moderate price points, everywhere they were showing it. So that's one of the trends for color. The other trend is, if you can believe it, is tropical themes. So years ago, and I may be showing my age again, but years ago, it was a lot of tropical themes. They are back. So leaf patterns, floral patterns, all of that. Those are definitely on trend for this year as well. So if you love those kind of things, be prepared, because they will be everywhere. Yeah.
And I'm thinking doing this in an upscale, modern kind of way, right? Not so much like the retro, or maybe retros, and I don't know.
Right. And that's another thing I was talking about quite often, is integrating modern style with very traditional homes. I mean, you can take a Newport mansion style home and integrate large modern artwork. And that's one of the things I was talking about before. But in Paris, I was in these mansion-like style homes, and I'd walk into, say, one of the dining rooms, and it was very, very traditional. Queen Anne and cherry and deep mahogany woods with huge modern art and high ceilings, and it was absolutely stunning. So it's nice to be seeing exactly what I've been talking about all along, and seeing that they're doing more and more and more of it. And Paris was just, you know, all of that. So it was really wonderful.
So when we're looking at these bold colors, these bright colors, or these deep, rich colors, are we looking at when people are trying to incorporate these into their homes? They say, okay, this is 2018, I'm ready for either to freshen up my home's look or maybe to kind of keep things on trend. Are we looking at incorporating multiple colors and looking at that, or are we looking at kind of a monochromatic scheme?
More as far as integrating more different colors in different rooms. I don't like going from one room to another and seeing a patchwork style. That's just not my style. But I will integrate bold color in, say, a mudroom, a pantry, a master bedroom, that kind of thing. So where you want to stay neutral in some areas, you can just have some fun in other areas. I'm working on a house. It's a project in North Kingstown, a modern custom design build, and we just chose a deep plum and a mustard yellow for 2 separate rooms, but they're going to be beautiful. It's a paint, Faro and Ball that I've talked about before, higher end paint, and the color tone is so rich, it's going to be stunning.
It sounds absolutely gorgeous. So
Yeah.
maybe I can get a preview. What are you thinking about when it comes to? We talked a little bit about these cones. Did you see anything about all black? People love to wear all black in terms of outfits, but what about all black for a room? Did you see anything about that? Whether it's, you know, you talk a lot about fixtures on the wall or hangings or floors. Did you see anything with all black? Is that set a tone? I mean, it's totally aside from the colors. Is that on trend at all?
You know, it started filtering a little bit. I noticed it in one of the design shows in High Point, North Carolina last year, where they were really integrating greens and blacks and pinks and blacks. But to tell you the truth, I didn't see a lot of it in Paris. I saw, if they're going to do a deep color, it's not black. It's deep, deep plum. It can almost be black, or the deep, deep blues, where it has a black undertone to it. But I did not necessarily see like black and pink or blacks on blacks. I saw a lot of women in black, wearing black. The big thing is they were wearing a lot of black with red lipstick. Red lipstick is everywhere. So I was thinking of Kate, because Kate always has some great
Kate
red
has good lipstick colors. She really does.
Yes, she really does. But they were doing that a lot. They had, and then they'll put this gorgeous, colorful scarf on. So the fashion out there really does show that trend as well. But as far as integrating the black into the rooms, not necessarily.
Not so much. And it would definitely have to be the right home as well. Did you see anything? We see a lot of technology coming into our lives, whether we like it or not. Did you see anything in Paris? And I'm not sure, I haven't had the pleasure of visiting. Did you see any trends incorporating technology, whether it's a smart home or incorporating that into design at all?
Well, it's funny because when in Paris, for the design shows I went to, there wasn't a lot of tech stuff. It was mostly fabrics, the history of the fabrics, the archives that they go through. It's wallpapers and it's furniture. So for those design shows, I didn't see a lot. But there was one design show I was sorry that I missed, because I was in Paris and it was the kitchen and bath design show. in Florida this year.
Oh, shoot.
And so, but I'm always talking to other designers and reading what's going on and everything, and that's everywhere in the kitchen and bath field. So your refrigerator can practically do everything you want.
Can basically cook for
yeah,
you.
they're showing, you know, there's even ways to show what's in your refrigerator and maybe what recipes can go with. It's crazy. It's like robots. So yeah, that's definitely integrated in it in the kitchen and bath field, but not so much in what I saw in Paris.
Okay, but something to look out for. I know my sister has one of those beautiful touch-free sinks where you just wave your hand. I'm like, oh, if only. That's what I strive.
I know.
For,
and
right?
there are so many shows and things like that you can go to. It's very difficult to get to every show, but I try to stay up on all of it.
And you are. So those are some of the colors, the hues, the trends that we're looking forward to. And you set the trend by hitting Paris, so we were so excited to talk about some of that. Robin does have a few more ideas for us as we move forward. You talked really about that art, incorporating modern art, and you did see a lot of that when you were in Paris. And I think it's so neat. We've talked about this several times before. When you're looking to design your home, whether it's renovation or you're moving into something new, it's really that art is really important. So let's talk a little bit about that. You said forgotten finishes, something those little things that you forget, whether it's adding it to the budget or you are doing a project and you just totally forget about it. What do you mean by forgotten finishes?
Well, I work a lot with, say, custom design build, and people are building their homes, and which is wonderful. And you're talking about, oh my God, let's do these gorgeous moldings, and let's do this, and people forget to budget for not only their furniture, but also window treatments and artwork and accessories, because once you're in and your 2x6 construction is all done, you're sitting in a room with a bare room.
It's just
so
naked.
Right. So what happens is you're exhausted because you've spent so much money on the build, and you're tired because you've made all these decisions, and you never quite budgeted any money for artwork, for accessories, for window treatments, and really that finishes off your room. So in my mind, what you need to do is, if you're renovating, if you're just building, if you're starting to build, if you're coming up with a budget of any kind, include those things in your budget, and maybe even order them when you're ordering your furniture.
That's smart.
At least put in, say, a line item. Okay, this is what I'm going to spend on art and accessories. It could be $5,000 for a room, or it could be $25,000, depending on your tolerance and what you want to spend. So I just feel like you really need to think about that ahead of time, especially artwork. Artwork can be here, it can be here. If you're doing a large piece, it could be gorgeous and it can make your room if you're doing the right thing. But if you say, oh my God, I only have $200 to spend, we're heading over to, or you're heading over to, like, Home Goods. But that's something you really have to prepare for.
And something like that, same goes, I think, if you want a good piece of art, or if a rug, say, perhaps, a statement rug, or a statement, you've talked about this on the show before, a statement piece of furniture. You really want something nice that can totally make the room. And if you only you didn't budget, say $100, and you're going to the wholesale place down the road rather than getting what you really want.
And what you really want. And then on top of it, a lot of my clients now, I'm finding that they want to know more about, if we're working with an artist. I try to bring them and to meet the artist.
Oh, that's neat.
And to have the story about what they're buying. That way, it means something to them. So when they look at it, it's not just, okay, it's a piece of art. You know the story behind it. Right now, I'm working with local artist Anthony Tomaselli, and he's just a fantastic artist. And we're working together to possibly do a design day or something like that at a studio. I've worked with a young girl, Gianna Sacco. She does some modern figure work. And so to me, these are the things that I think you want to start really thinking about putting in your home. So it's not just, okay, it's here and that's all it is. It has meaning and style behind it.
Plus, when you can make that connection to a piece of art and actually understand the artist, where they're coming from, and here in Providence, creative capital, there's so many times and places and ways that you can make a connection, whether it's through the Providence Art Club, or whether you're at Waterfire and you're just walking around and you see an artist who has some of their pieces, whatever the case may be. There's so many ways to get connected. Maybe you meet a student that goes to RISD, or
exactly.
right? I mean, there's so many ways that you can tap into, rather than just picking up a piece that's mass produced, right?
Exactly, yeah. It really does mean a lot. And we have a lot of local artists here. Even, Situate Art Festival and things like that. But if you don't budget your money, you can't buy what you want. So you think of it ahead of time for that type of thing, and know that's what you're going to be spending. And that way, when you're ready to do it, you don't feel so, oh my God, I can't. It's going to be part of the whole comprehensive design.
That makes so much sense, because I found two pieces of art that I've wanted so much, and I'm like, I don't have the money for this right now. One was a piece of furniture that was absolutely gorgeous, custom made, and one was a wall hanging. And it's like, one, I don't have space for this right now, and two, for my home.
Right.
And two, I don't have this budgeted. But if you start a budget, you set a budget, whether you're moving or you're remodeling or whatever the case may be, you set that budget, and then when you do find something that you like, it's already
in
there.
Your budget, right? And you're not so restricted as to what you're buying, or you're not nervous about the purchase. It's already there, and you know that's what you're spending. So it's a more fun experience. It's a better experience, and then you get what you want, and it really means something.
Oh, I think that should. Yeah, because then when you're out browsing around in all these great communities that we have, if you see something you like, then you can buy it. You don't have to say no. Or then if you do buy it, you don't feel so guilty, right? You can actually enjoy your piece.
Yeah.
I really like that idea. Before we let you go, a couple other items that you said you should budget for include greenery within the home, and books.
That was one of the things. I saw a book in Paris, and I had to have it. I am not one to buy like decorative books unless I'm doing some staging, but this book was so beautiful. It was about fashion in Paris, in Versailles.
Oh.
And just the look of it, it was so beautiful. I just had to have it as an accessory. So I purchased it, and I said, okay, this is what I want. It will be going in either one of my projects, or it will be going in my own home, which my home is always the last one to be done, but it will be going in my home. And it was beautiful. So it will be a kind of a statement piece on a cocktail table, because it was so pretty. It's about this thick and this big, hardcover. The cover was gorgeous, and I'm buying it as an accessory. So yes, definitely books.
And I think that's so neat, especially when we have the Providence Flea was here on Friday. They were talking about for Valentine's Day, you could purchase old poetry books to give to your Valentine. So, looking at books.
Such a great idea.
Right? Like from like the 1800s, these old books. I mean, they were just beautiful. Maybe they're the 1900s. I didn't look at the date. But just these beautiful books. So using those as a statement piece from your home, incorporating that into design.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of that, one of the things I also did while I was there was go into the famous antique markets there.
Oh.
So
that would be hard.
Oh my God.
You had to ship stuff home.
Yes, well, I did. So I had to bring myself away. I had to pull myself away because I was there, and I love antiques. I did buy two sconces, a pair of sconces
beautiful.
from 1940s, Maison Baguette, and they are just stunning. I may keep them, but I may also find a project for them because they are just stunning. They're on their way over, and when I get them, I'll put them on I already did put them on my Facebook page, but I'll post them again.
Saying they arrived safely.
Yeah, that's something that I love doing. I also bought a piece of art for a coastal home that was late 1700s. So it was just beautiful. So yes, even things like that, definitely.
Oh, well, it sounds wonderful. Robin, I'm so glad we had the chance to catch up today, hear all about your trip, and then hopefully give you some advice, some ideas, some inspiration for 2018 colors and trends for the new year, as well as things that you probably want to budget for as you work on updating your home. Robin Garceau of Robin Garceau Interiors, thank you so much for joining us. She writes for GoLocal Prov as well as joining us here on the live portion, so you can always check her articles as well as visit her website as well, which we'll provide a link to. So Robin, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to let you head around the corner.
Take care.
Thank you. Good to see you. We'll see you pretty soon.
Yep, in another month.
All right. Care. Robin, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to continue here on GoLocal Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. We are moving from interior design to technology. I would like to say hello and welcome to our next guest. Dave Brown is founder and software engineer of Rhode Island-based company Droners.io. Dave, how you doing?
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Good to see you. What did you bring a drone for us?
Brought a drone to
awesome.
Show everybody. This is a Mavic Pro, kind of one of the more recent drones. Pretty fun little toy.
Yeah. Okay, so, but that's the thing. These aren't really toys. These are, you've built up a business from the ground, since merged with another business, so we're going to get to all that. So they can be toys for some people. We're looking at types of drones, but we're also going to talk to you about your business startup expansion, the acquisition by Precision Hawk, and then we'll talk about the future of the drone industry, including some of the products that we've seen and all that. So I'm excited to talk to you.
Yeah.
Sound
good?
good?
To be here. Sounds great.
Sounds good. Okay, why don't you just explain, because I'm going to be intrigued and staring at this all day. Explain to me what you have and why you brought this one in, because why not, right?
Sure. So this is a Mavic Pro. It's a drone, prosumer drone. Probably a lot of people would refer to it as. So it's small enough and inexpensive enough where your typical drone user could afford it and use it for things like capturing footage of themselves or events and also professionals could use it for real estate, weddings, things like that. Folds up pretty small. These wings fold in, and you can toss it in the book bag and it also follows you around, and it's a pretty nifty gadget for sure.
Is this kind of like a starter drone almost?
It is. It's about $1,000. It's by DJI, which they've been really pushing the envelope lately with drones. So even though it's small, it's relatively cheap. You might think of it as a starter drone, but it's really packed with a lot of features, which makes it perfect for a lot of different scenarios.
Kind of an up a notch from a starter drone, maybe. Yeah. It looks. Not only does it look cool, but it sounds like it has a lot of capabilities to it as well.
Absolutely.
So if you don't want one, and if you had no idea what the drone industry was like, just seeing this makes me want to be like, okay, I need to get my license. Right? All right, let's talk a little bit about your company. You're not a stranger to startups, and Droners.io was featured in Wired, Forbes, a lot. You've gotten a lot of publicity over the years when you built this up. Recently, Precision Hawk, a commercial drone and data company, acquired your company, as well as another one, to launch the world's largest network of commercially licensed drone pilots, around 15,000. Talk to me about why you decided to merge with this company, why you made that decision, and why was it the right time? Or was it the right time?
Yeah. So to answer that question best, I can start out with where the product has evolved over the last 2 years, and I think that will provide a lot of background and insight to this recent move. So for everyone out there that is still wondering what Droners is, we are a marketplace that connects individuals and companies with licensed and professional drone pilots. So if you're a real estate agent or a wedding videographer, or you want to throw a big party with your friends, or if you're a large construction company, a utilities company, an insurance company, we connect you with drone pilots. So we are an Uber for drones, if you will. So before the idea for droners came around, I had spent the last decade or so building web companies or taking ideas for other companies to market. A lot of those companies were online social communities or two-sided marketplaces, which is what Droners is, and those types of business models. So how I got the idea was I was out kite surfing with some friends, and a buddy with his drone captured footage of me, and I thought it was amazing, and so I tossed it up on Facebook, and everybody was raving about how awesome it was, asking if it was from a helicopter, and no, it was from a drone like this, and so that really got me thinking about how much would it cost to hire a drone pilot, and how difficult is it to find a drone pilot to get footage like that. And so I started looking around online and on Google, and surprisingly, it was actually quite difficult to hire a drone pilot. You couldn't actually just pay the kid down the street $10 to come shoot your house. At that time, to capture drone footage for someone, to use your drone commercially, you actually had to have a private pilot's license. You couldn't just go professionally fly your drone. You actually had to be a real pilot. So finding someone that had that license, if you were gonna acquire your footage legally, was difficult to do. There's also insurance needs. So if you are a big real estate agent, or you're an insurance company, and someone flies their drone through the window of your building, or it falls out of the sky and hits someone, that's a pretty big deal. So I instantly saw that there was a huge need for a service to connect individuals and companies with drone pilots. So I took the idea and ran with it, and launched the first version in 2 months, August 2015. And like you said, we immediately was picked up by a lot of press, and we grew significantly in the first 2 years. So that led us to your question about this recent acquisition. So the end of 2017, we had felt that we really dominated the space on the SMB side, small business side, and consumer side, so connecting people, real estate agents, things like that. But we were still trying, we still hadn't really solved the problem of the enterprise space, which is if you're a insurance company and a hurricane hits Florida, and you all of a sudden need 10,000 aerial roof inspections, how do you do that? And so we were leaving a large piece of the pie on the table by not being able to really target that market yet. So about the time that Precision Hawk approached us was also the same time that we are starting to solve that problem. So it was perfect timing. And so to your question about how that came to be and what does it mean for us, so Precision Hawk, they are a drone company in North Carolina. They're a global leader in enterprise drone services. So they have some of the largest enterprise clients in the space already. They've been working with them for years. Large agriculture companies, oil companies, construction companies, just the whole spread. And so the problem that they were trying to solve, which was the same problem we were trying to solve, is how do you deploy drones at large scale and a short notice? So they approached us, and it was very clear from the get-go that we were the perfect match for each other, as we were both needing to solve the same problem. They were already experts in the enterprise space, and that's where we needed to go. So it was a perfect match, and they acquired us at the end of 2017.
Interesting. Yeah, you just released this statement that the two companies were merging as well as another company. So how do you two, and you mentioned that you kind of were both working to solve these problems together and as you move forward, how do you see collaboration as you move forward in 2018 and then the future of this industry?
Yeah, so we are going to be leveraging all the infrastructure and expertise that Precision Hawk already has under their belt, and their clients that are very excited to hop on board as we scale up and deploy this product. We already have lined up to be handling a lot of the insurance claims through a lot of the southeast of the United States. So anytime a big hurricane or a hailstorm comes this year, it's going to be our drone pilots likely that are going to be capturing those drone inspections. So we've already queued up hundreds of thousands of jobs already just through that acquisition and the sheer strength that they have in that space. So it's going to be really exciting. We're already expected to scale well over 1,000x this year, and it's going to be very fast paced.
So get your rest now while you can.
Yeah.
Okay, so I read this article in TechCrunch, which I thought was fascinating. Drone space fastest growth is set to come from businesses and civil governments, which you kind of talked about, who are expected to spend, this is the number, and I think it was given from Precision Hawk, $13 billion on drones through 2020. And we talked a little bit, it was now kind of the right time to jump in on this. Precision Hawk just raised $75 million. Talk to me just a little bit about that number, $13 billion in the next couple years within the drone industry. It's a huge amount. How do you see the future as you work toward this? I mean, I can see possibilities really endless. But talk to me about that. How you foresee, you talked a little bit about insurance, you talked a little bit about storms. How do you foresee this growing and more other industries can pump money into drones?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think if you looked at the vertical spread of like the largest verticals in that space that make up that tremendous number that you threw out there, the big players there are infrastructure. So being able to inspect cell towers, for example. One of our clients has thousands of cell towers across the country. Wow. So every year they need to inspect those towers, and there's literally tens of thousands of them. You have utility poles and power lines that have to be inspected annually. You have large solar grid installations. You have wind farms. Wind farms alone, I believe, is a $6 billion industry just inspecting the wind towers. And then, like I said, touched on insurance inspections. There's hundreds of thousands of aerial roof inspections that are going to be coming through the platform. So there's tremendous opportunities that a lot of people I think frequently don't think about that drones are a perfect use for.
Well, I can imagine this is probably a lot easier to navigate if you're out inspecting a wind turbine, right? Out in the middle of the water than using manpower.
Oh yeah,
it's a lot cheaper, a lot easier, a lot safer.
Right, exactly, and that's a big thing too. Is it's a lot quicker and it's cheaper for the companies because they don't have to insure a man climbing up a tower or putting somebody on the roof. They can safely deploy a drone quickly, and especially as algorithms evolve, we're looking to develop autonomous flight paths so that you click a button and it'll do the inspection of a tower or a roof or whatever it be, capture the data, and you're good to go. And so that also increases efficiency of the process and all around a win-win.
Wow. Roads and bridges as well, you would think?
Absolutely. Yeah, bridges are a huge piece as well. Yeah, wow. Getting someone under a bridge to look at hard to reach areas and very, very big use case.
I would think too, you lose a drone, yes, that's a large investment, but losing a drone versus a loss of life, you can't replace a person, but you can replace a drone easy.
Yeah, much easier.
Much easier. We talked a little bit about your background. You went over that. Talk to us a little bit about pilots, because when you see corporations come together and you see mergers, whatever the industry, whatever the business. Is this beneficial for pilots who are certified, who are ready to work? Is this something good for them, or is it going to leave pilots behind?
You know, to be honest, it can be both. We've seen models like this, like for the cab industry, for example, taxi industry. You've read headlines with Uber, for example, where they drive prices down significantly, and so if not done properly, it absolutely can drive an ecosystem where it's a race to the bottom, and people who you know, have higher end skills aren't being paid appropriately, and so that's something. My background, I've built a lot of marketplaces, and I've seen this firsthand, and I've worked a lot in ensuring that we are providing ways to maximize value to both sides. So that's something that we're very aware of, and I would say is a number one priority is to ensure that at scale we're still providing a mass amount of value to the pilots, because at the end of the day, if good pilots don't want to work for us because the prices are too low, then you know, those pilots start to become more of a liability versus an asset, because we can't really you know, get the pilots that have the skills that we need. So it's a big issue that we have at the top of our list, and are planning to do it right.
That's good. Is this a good time, do you think, for people to get into, if they're excited about drones, they're excited about the technology, is this a good time to get into the business, do you think? I mean, we're starting to see more and more programs, more and more certification. QCC, I believe it is, QCC in Worcester recently launched Massachusetts' first community college program to offer drone certification programming. So the knowledge, the awareness is out there. Is this a good time to get involved in the business, do you think?
I think it is.
Or is it too late?
I think it is a good time. It's you know, rapidly growing. There's more and more companies every day that are adopting drones. But that being said, there's also already a very large number of drones drone pilots. Probably right now, about a month ago, there was 122,000 licensed pilots in the U.S., growing at about 25,000 a month. So there's a large number of pilots already out there. But also the demand is also increasing very fast. But something to keep in mind, though, is it is a service business like anything else. You know, there's market rates and saturation, and so you know, pilots or people who are thinking they want to become a pilot, you know, they can't just go into it with the expectation that and it's going to be this awesome job that they're going to kill it and make a ton of money. It's just like anything else. You have to prove your worth and market yourself just like any other business. And so you know, it's not easy, but it is an exciting field that is only going to grow.
I definitely think we're going to see a lot, and I think it's so exciting to think of the possibilities in the future of these drones. Did you watch the opening ceremonies at all?
I did.
Or read about it? Okay.
Yeah, it was
so I mean,
really
it's not really quite what you do, but along the lines, they're still using drone technology. So if you weren't able to watch opening ceremonies of the Olympics or read about it, Intel set a record flying over 1,200 of their shooting star drones simultaneously. So we've seen, I mean, and what they did was incredible, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looked magnificent. I believe they made like a snowboarder, and then it transitioned into the Olympic rings. Talk to me just what the capabilities are out there, whether it's Intel doing that, whether we're looking at drones for, you know, taking photography and all the industries that you said, whether it's for entertainment. There was that story a couple weeks ago where someone was rescued, a water rescue.
Mm-hmm.
Just as we look forward in the future of drones, is it just moving so fast that our brains can't keep up, or what are your thoughts on the future of drone technology?
So actually, a big barrier I feel for drone technology is actually regulation, for good or bad. I feel for good, but so currently, for example, you can't legally fly a drone out of visual line of sight, which means if you can't see the drone, you've flown too far. So when you look at a lot of the technology that's out there, autonomous drone flying and things like that, being able to efficiently use a drone, perhaps across long distances. A lot of that is being met by regulation, and so they're moving forward fast, but they're doing it in a way to ensure that drones are used safely. So you can't just inspect a couple miles of pipeline autonomously every day by a drone that takes off and scans the pipe and comes back, and there's no one there to keep an eye on it. I think in the very near future that's going to be legal, but right now there's regulations in place that don't allow that. So that they roll out rules that are effective and keep people safe.
So it all depends on the future regulation. So that could either be a hindrance or could all help us stay a little bit safer. So we'll kind of see how it plays out. But definitely watch the clip of that. Those drones were ridiculous.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
cool. I'm sure as a technology person, or at least working with drones, you probably thought it was
really
exciting.
Oh, and I'm a snowboarder as well. So
so you were really into it.
They just did a mute grab by a drone.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like so that whole thing was, and then they had the drones like next to the snowboarders. I mean, the whole thing was just, it was pretty neat. So just incorporating that technology in our daily lives, is that what we're going to see in the future, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. As drones, become safer in regard to not only the hardware and fail-safes of that, which they've already made leaps and bounds in. For example, my buddy's drone just a couple of years ago, he lost 2 drones that just flew off into the ocean. So that isn't happening as much anymore. So I think again, as regulations evolve, like for example, you can't fly drones above crowds unless you're approved to do so. So as regulations evolve and more people are meeting protocol and being approved to do things like that, you're going to see it more integrated in our day-to-day lives for sure.
Great. Dave Brown, thank you so much for joining me today. Founder of Droners.io, now part of Precision Hawk. You can find more on their website, which will have a link to all this information and much more on GoLocalProv.com. Dave, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a true pleasure.
Really appreciate it.
Keep us updated on everything that's happening.
I definitely will do so.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'll let you around the corner. We are going to switch gears now and continue the conversation today as we continue here on GoLocal Live in the Navigate Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'd like to say hello and welcome to my next guest. Her name is Carmen Recalde Russo. She is with the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Hey, how are you?
Oh, very nice to meet you.
So nice to meet you as well. I appreciate you joining us today. So February is National Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So we're going to talk a little bit about signs that you can see with your teen. We're going to talk about awareness for this month, and then tomorrow we're going to ask you to wear orange, which I think is always kind of fun to help raise awareness as well. So let's talk a little bit about your work with the coalition. Let's start off by talking about some stats. So I read today from loveisrespect.org, which was formerly the National Dating Abuse Helpline, that 1 in 3 teens in the U.S. will experience physical, sexual, or emotional abuse by someone they are in a relationship with before they become adults, which is troubling. What do we know about data from Rhode Island and Rhode Island teens?
In Rhode Island, we know that teen dating violence is also very prevalent. There's a survey that's done here in its local schools, and we found that 1 in 10 teens are victims of teen dating violence. Wow. And that number, it rises if you are looking at gay, lesbian, and bisexual teens, and it's 1 in 4. So something that is happening to a lot of kids, a lot of teenagers in schools. That's why it's so important for us to really come together and talk about how to prevent teen dating violence from happening.
I mean, that's shocking. And I don't know how much parents are aware of this, how much people within the school districts are aware of this, or people within the community that work with teenagers and young adults really on a daily basis, because this can range from, tweens, young kids, all the way up to people within their 20s, really young adults. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of how we can really talk to our kids, whether we're a teacher, whether we're a parent, how we can really talk to our kids, opening up that discussion about teen dating violence.
Yes, I think you brought up a very good point. Like, we don't look at teen romance as something like very serious. You know, when you think about that, you think about, you know, like puppy love, like it's romantic first experiences and things like that. And there's also so many movies where you actually see very abusive behavior that we are thinking that it's so romantic. So for parents to open the channels of communication, especially starting early, you have to start. Like I have kids, 2 girls. They are 6 years old now, and I'm already talking about that to them about consent. I'm making sure that they know that what is okay and what's not. That they feel very comfortable telling no to people. And as they grow older, establishing models of behavior, showing them respect, helping them to create boundaries, and that is okay for you to make someone respect your boundaries. And always communication is key. Talking to your kids, talking about like just daily activities or anything that is that will keep that communication open, and you'll be able to. They will see you as a place where they can get information or go if they are in trouble.
I think it's so crucial too to start the discussion early. You know, you might think your kids are naive or they're too young, but I think time and time again, kids really know what's going on. Your kids kids understand what's happening in the world.
They do. And I think this is one of the, I've been doing advocacy for many years, and one of the things that really surprised me is how early sometimes teen dating violence start. There's like some surveys that say that some victims, they experience the first victimization as early as 11 years old.
Wow.
That is so they are very, very young. And as they grow older, like some of them experience between 16 and 18. So it's very important for us to really start early and talk to the kids, because they know, they see, I think violence is like so prevalent in everywhere, and it's very important for parents and teachers to start kind of counter the message that they receive in so many cartoons, movies, and things about like very unhealthy relationships.
Cartoons are definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So you talked a little bit about numbers as we started off the conversation, which these numbers are troubling, and those are just the numbers you have to remember that are reported. Many times, we know this about domestic violence survivors. Not everybody is reporting. So what do we know about how dating violence affects teenagers?
Dating violence affects teenagers a lot, not just in their grades. You might see teenagers that were like very good students and their grades are slipping off, or you might see changes in behaviors. But it also could be very, very risky of their safety. Some of the effects are kids that are experience dating violence. They report higher drug use, higher like unhealthy behaviors like drinking more. They also most of the time they experience more bullying than other kids do.
That's interesting. Does this, if a teenager has been experienced teen dating violence at a young age, does this make them more, or I don't know if there's research or studies on this, can this make them more susceptible to a dangerous or abusive relationship when they become adults?
I think that, I'm not sure if there's studies exactly on that. The thing is, domestic teen dating violence can be very dangerous in itself, and that's where when I said that sometimes we think about just kid loves between the puppy love thing is not for many teenagers. That's not the reality. Some of them experience a very very dangerous and very violent assaults to their safety too. And I think it's more problematic because teenagers, they don't have the maturity level to be able to assess the danger they are in, and also to reach out for the same support that an adult could reach for. And they also don't have the experience. They might, something that is happening to them, they might think that all relationships are like this. So education and parents and teachers and everyone talking to and setting up good models is really important.
And that's what I was kind of curious about. If teenagers are going through this on their own, they're not getting that help, that support, I'm wondering if they think that this is what a healthy relationship is, does that set them up for later on in life, thinking that's what a healthy relationship is? I was just kind of curious if we've seen that pattern, if there's any research. I wasn't sure if you knew that.
I'm not sure if there's like I'm not
I don't
familiar
know.
with any research, but
Yeah.
but I know that, for example, when I was a teenager, which was like a long time ago.
Me too, don't worry.
So I thought, like, for example, jealousy. I thought jealousy was like, oh, it's so romantic. And there's some, even like some movies that they were like very stalkering behavior. I thought like, oh my God, it's like, this is so romantic, because you don't have that experience.
Mind scooting over just a little bit? Thank you.
Yeah. You don't have that experience to know that that is actually not okay. So I think that in that case, it could set some kids up to like a future that might involve domestic violence, but there's really no, I haven't heard of any studies that can quantify that.
Yeah, just those unhealthy behaviors. So something I saw when I was researching this, looking at your website, looking at national websites, loveasrespect.org had some great resources. Obviously, Rhode Island has some great resources, and I believe that we put up the phone number as well for Rhode Island. If you need, we put up your helpline. But something that I saw on this national page was they're doing polls, and you talked about teenagers not being able to deal with certain things just because they don't have the maturity. So one question, I thought they were really geared towards social media, digital media, stuff with your phone. One of the questions they asked, and they were reaching out to teenagers, like just kind of like taking a poll, talking to teenagers. Do you ever think it's okay for a partner to share private texts or photos with their friends on their social media profiles? And another question they asked was, do you ever think it's okay if your partner demands to know the password to all your social media accounts? So maybe for adults, these questions are like, of course not. But for teenagers, that kind of stuff, it might not stand out for them. So I guess my question is, when you're dealing with teenagers and you're talking to parents, are there strategies and guideful resources that you have to talk about technology? Because technology is really something that these teenagers are just hyper-focused on.
Oh, definitely. Technology is something big, and it's something that's not going to go away. I think it's for parents and teachers and adults and teenagers' lives to know about technology is very important. We have some resources on our website. There's also techsafety.org has a really good up-to-date resource, because technology also changes
every second.
whatever was it started at the beginning of this interview probably is not
it's not relevant anymore.
It's not relevant anymore at the end. But the people at techsafety.org, they are specialized in that, and they have information about how to keep teenagers, and also how to keep adults safe, because sometimes it's something that is relatively new, and many people and teens and also adults, they don't know the boundaries about passwords. You think it's something that happened only to teenagers, but I can also see some adult clients having the same issues. So it's very important. Knowledge is definitely key.
Yeah, and I think that what you said too is boundaries. People might not necessarily know your boundaries, so talking to your kids about this, or whether it's the school getting involved, or parents, or churches or youth groups, whatever that is. Talk to us about how important that is for. Is it just up to the parents, or is it really up to our entire community to help prevent this?
I think two things. I think that boundaries is very important, because one of the first things that an abuser would do is try to blur the lines of the boundaries, and that's how they are able to get away with so many things, because the boundaries are blurred. And I think it's it will take the parents, it will take the teachers, it will take the whole community. I think that coming together and creating a culture where domestic violence is not accepted is very important, and that goes to everything. I remember when my kids were just in it was like a daycare. I remember having one of the teachers, they were acting weird, and they told me that one of the kids was actually hitting and pulling the girl's hair, and the reason they gave him is I think he likes her. And I think that, and I saw that the same kind of philosophy reflected as they go, but in a way, if we're telling the kids that is abuse, and we should not equate abusive behavior with love, and it starts very early. So I think it's something that the parents need to do it, teachers need to do it, and and us as a whole community need to do it too. And we actually have a great report that we just released. Rhode Island was the first a place in like in the country that had a law that mandated dating education in schools, and we just released a report. It's on our website, and I think it's a very good tool for parents and also for teachers to learn more about what they can do.
I think it's so crucial. Yeah, it was released. The law was mandated, I believe, in 2007, right?
It's been 10 years now.
Yeah, so it's been 10 years, and incredible that Rhode Island made the efforts to mandate this, to mandate education. So fascinating stuff. Let's talk a little bit about awareness. What's one thing do you think that we can all do? And we've talked a little bit about this, just, kind of changing our perception as a whole to reduce domestic violence and our perception on what love is. But as we move forward, we have a month of spreading awareness and prevention. What's one little thing we can do every single day?
Every single day. Tomorrow, for example, tomorrow is a National Wear Orange Day, and the idea of this is that you will wear orange, that you'll post it on your social media, and you also will talk about dating violence wherever you go. That's a good way of just like start spreading, just awareness that even talking about this issue is very important. We also have like a different ads running in different radios, and there's a lot of information about the website. So if you can go to our website or any website that has information about dating violence and just learn more about the issue and talk to people about this.
Yeah, I definitely think talking about it helps, and teenagers, young people, definitely reach out for resources, because if you think someone is loving you and if something just doesn't feel right, then it probably isn't, right?
Exactly. Yes, like that gut feeling, that is real, and you should follow it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. So I do believe that we do have the Coalition's phone number. The hotline is on our website, on our Facebook page. So if you do feel like something maybe is wrong and you want to reach out for help, they do have a hotline that's available 24/7, and you also have incorporated a chat line as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, we have. Yes.
Yeah, so that's an awesome resource as well, so you can reach out on that. So, Carmen, I do appreciate your time with us today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's been a true pleasure, and please keep up the great work you do with the community.
Thank you so much.
We are wrapping up here on GoLocal Live in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. It is Monday, so that means one thing, Business Monday. Josh Fenton kicks things off here in just a few moments, so please hang with us as we get set up for that. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Molly O'Brien. Enjoy the rest of your day.